Today Brent is tying up a brown Twilite leech. These white bead heads imitate the white mouth on the leech. The glow-in-the-dark properties make this fly very visible in low light conditions where large trout are feeding on leeches in the shallows.
Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to another segment on the bench. Today I'm going to tie you up a Twilite leech. This is the brown leech here. I'm going to be using a Tiemco 5263 on the front here. We got a size 8 in the vise, and I've got a glow-in-the-dark glass bead. Now, if you can't find these beads, I've accessed them many years ago. I don't even know where you'd look for them anymore. But you can also get glow-in-the-dark bead heads. Now, that's a pretty critical part of this pattern. Why I call it the Twilite leech is because a lot of times that's when the leech is really moving and they're in the shallows and big fish are in there eating them. That's the time of day if you want to catch the biggest fish of your lifetime right there, or in that lake, for example. It'll be probably in low light conditions and it'll be on a leech. So what I'm going to do, instead of marabou for the tail, I'll be using, I'll put some O2O lead on the front here, but the front half is weighted. Just a slow sinking. We don't want it to operate like a jig. But on the back of a lot of these saddles, you're going to see a lot of these really webby hackles here. And there's always some good uses, like these on the front would be good for collars, and these back here would be good for woolly buggers and stuff. And right on the base here, you're going to see a lot of marabou. This is actually like a marabou here that'll swim. So you can pluck some of that off. That'll work good in this pattern for sure. And it's nice and strong and slender. And I'll show you this when I get it wet. It's a beautiful fly. And so it works great in those conditions. Now I've got some copper wire. This is small, just for reinforcement here. I'm going to get my next body material. You'll see the other Twilite midge. My first one is a black version. Is probably my favorite go-to right there. And there's no UV in this one. And this one I'm tying here today will be the UV2 Silex. Okay, it's going to have some UV properties. Now, we'll be using some strung peacock herl. This is dyed orange, which is a really nice material. And make sure, there's a damaged one right there. We'll get rid of it right away. Try to keep these bodies nice and slender on these leeches. That's probably one of the bigger issues I see with flies is they get too thick. Now, I've done the dubbing rope, or the herl rope. I'm just going to spin this on. I tie it in by the tips because when I'm holding my herl, it actually gets a little buggier. Instead of tied in by the butts, it actually squashes it down, compresses the marbles. So then we'll come in with a copper wire and we're just going to reverse wrap. And that'll give it all the strength we need. And it keeps that body nice and slender. You see it's kind of really getting that down nice and slender there. That's what you're looking for. Now, if you don't have a Norvise this next trip, you'll see a lot of my flies I do this way. I leave the wire on. I'll use that for my dubbing brush. So I'm getting some of this UV2 Silex. It's quite long, but I want very sparse. Putting that in there. Now, if you don't have this, just do a dubbing loop. Okay, I'll get my brush in here and really brush them fibers out. And we just want a little bit of color on this, because I want that underbody there. That is what I want to really show up. I don't want a thick. We've got to keep these leeches thin. I think is what I'm trying to say here. We got to keep them slender. Over the years we've been watching, and the thinner dress patterns always outfish the other patterns. And this will have some UV. I'll hit it with a torch here in a minute and I'll show you. And you can also just use the, instead of the UV2 Sealex, you can just use a semi-seal. There's Canadian brown, for example. You can use that. You can get different colorations. Here's a bronze peacock. There's, I would say use some blacks and browns and olives. And this is a great fly. This fly here will, any of these leech patterns work great. And I can't say enough about this glow-in-the-dark bead, so that might be something you want to check out. You can see when this fly is wet how great it looks. And also when you get the UV on here, you'll see a little bit of that coming out. Got my torch just bleeping here, but you can see a little of that, and if you don't, you can always pluck them little fibers out of there too if you want. I don't like it really too bright because we're fishing at nighttime anyway, and you're not going to see much of the UV. So you see the glow-in-the-dark bead there. That they'll see in low light conditions, and it's a great bead head there. So I think it's Rod Bitterman and Ruben Bergowitz. I remember getting me in touch with these glass beads years ago in Calgary at the show, and sent me a bunch of them. I got 3 different sizes of them. I use them on chronomids. I use them on bigger flies. This is kind of the medium size. So just check around. Maybe you can find some online somewhere, whatever. That's good if you can. If not, go find yourself some of these glow-in-the-dark bead heads. So thanks for watching again today, folks, and we'll catch you again next time.
Thanks for watching Brent's Fly Fishing Instructional Series. He can be found on Brent's YouTube channel and Sport Fishing on the Fly.